Traveling Mike here. It's kind of windy in the cemetery, and we're out at the Cornhill Cemetery. The town of Cornhill used to be just a little less than a mile straight behind me here. It's now a ghost town. 100 years ago, the trains came and went by about 2 or 3 miles north here, and so the whole town just packed up and left, and it's now a ghost town. Even though the town no longer exists 100 years ago, the cemetery's still here and it's still active. So we're going to look for a couple of graves here. Let's hope I have a ghost of a chance. But also we'll see if there's any other interesting markers. I think it used to also be a Masonic cemetery. So we should find some interesting headstones out here. This really has a mix of old and new all together. This one here has a Book of Life on top, and looks like they were a member of the OddFellows. Let's look across over here too. Here's a bunch. There's an older section right there in the middle. We'll go check that out here in a second. Let's see, they've got a historical marker for these two. Let me go here. You can pause it and read it if you'd like, because they're part of the Texas Revolution in 1835, but they've got the Books of Life on their headstones. Okay, we're over here by the older section. Got some good ones. Here's a headstone with the finger pointing up to heaven. May he rest in peace, gone home. Here's a Mason, has a symbol on the back. On the front has a finger pointing to heaven going up. And here's one with I guess it's the wife of the one next here, and they're shaking hands goodbye. Let's see, they've got some good markers over here. Let's see who these are. The wreath stands for victory over death and over the life they've had. Let's see what else. Here's one with gates of heaven open with the dove for hope and peace flying above it. Another Masonic grave. And there, of course, there's a little lamb for an infant. Here's one with the 2 columns and the arch over it, which means the entrance into heaven. I can't see any markings. It's pretty wore out. Oh, there's some on this side. They're brothers. Both died in 1897. To be a Masonic symbol behind the hands. So. There's a cool one. Gone home. Another Masonic, and the oak leaves represent strength. Here's one of a young boy. As you can see, the rose is broken, the stem is broken, which means he was just cut down in the prime of life. As a little, I can't see what the dates are, but he's very young. I hope you can hear me. It's getting windy out here. A couple little babies. It looks like, oh yeah, it says infant on top too. The acorn on top of this headstone represents potential, and combine that with the open rose, it should mean that this person died in the prime of his life with so much potential ahead of him. Here's another family grave, of course, with a couple of infants that died, have the lambs on it. And over here's one. He's about a year old, I guess, but as you can see, it's a flower that has not opened, which means they died before they even started life. So it's they were cut down early in their life. Here's one with a sheaf of wheat, which is also stands for resurrection, or God's reaping of the soul and taking it to heaven. Here's a different headstone for a baby. As you can see, he's just sleeping, or she. It's looks like no, I guess it's a boy. Russell, but that's an interesting one. You don't see a lot of them with a sleeping baby on it. Here's two infant babes of Brewster here. They both have the flower that has the stem broken. Another one here, the same thing. So they couple little infants. Here's another little child, and this one has the hand pointing to heaven and holding an unopened rose, which means he died before he even got to experience life. So he's only 1 year old, looks like less than that. Let's see what we got over here. Got some the hands. Of course, here's some with the hope. Has a lamb on it. A lot of infants in this cemetery. This headstone, it has it etched in it, but sometimes you'll see them in full relief on a headstone, but you can see it has a scroll, and the scroll represents the past that's unknown, the future that's unknown, and then the time of death, which is the known. So that's what the scrolls, when you see those on a headstones, mean. If you look way off in the distance, you can see the church steeple of New Cornhill, but this is the old Cornhill, which no longer exists. Here's another headstone of a Confederate soldier. He's got this large headstone here with the gates of heaven open, star for Christ in the top, also the Masonic symbols. All right, way over here by the edge of the cemetery, we're looking for a Keeling. There's a couple Keelings here, and the one we're looking for is a Josephine Keeling. Born in 1934, died in 2005. So that's it right here. I'll get a picture and notify the family of this one. Wow, this one has a lot of stuff on this headstone. Get a little closer here, see if you can see it, but it's got, of course, the gates of heaven open, God's glory with the cross, love at the top, life and truth on the corners. Also has a drapery across the corner. And this is one here that's also have a lot of the similar things. Has the gates of heaven open. A pair of twins, both with broken roses on the top, budded on the earth to bloom in heaven. Here's an interesting World War I headstone. Lists the campaigns he was sent to in France and Germany. And he died in 22, a few years after the war ended. Well, the interesting thing in this cemetery is I've seen quite a few tractor-trailer drivers here that have semi-trucks on their headstones. So you never know what you're going to find out here. A lot of infants in this small cemetery. I don't know if some disease was going around back in the early years of last century or what, but and then there's a lot of family plots out here. I see a lot of Harrisons, a lot of Blacks, a lot of other ones out here, but interesting cemetery, and I actually have found quite a few interesting things. This video is going to be a little longer than I thought it was going to be. Here's a Wells family cemetery, family plots. I don't see a Jeffrey Wells though, and it's quite possible he's in here, but I don't see anything. Well, I hope you enjoyed the walk through this ghost town cemetery, which is pretty big for a ghost town that hasn't been here for 100 years. However, if you look behind me, the city of Gerald has built right up next to the cemetery, so it's no longer in the middle of nowhere, and it's not by a ghost town any longer. Well, make sure you like and subscribe.